What is it like being a Jamaican in Senegal? Hi, I'm Xavier Murphy, the founder of Jamaicans.com. Today in Jamaicans to the World, we speak to Michael Hughes, who is a Jamaican living in Senegal. Michael, how are you?
Hi, Xavier. I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Listen, I love the patterns you have on. When you came on, I was like, wow, that's just so beautiful.
Yes, thanks. I mean, that's one of the things about living in West Africa. If you really like fashions, you would really love being there because the different fabrics that you have, and this is just one kind, because you have a lot of so many different kinds of fabrics. And when you go to a fabric market, you can spend the entire day just going from stall to stall, trying to pick fabric. So you can imagine how much of my time I've spent in fabric
So
in cloth market.
so are you one of those fashionistas?
I wouldn't say I'm fashionista, but I really, really, really fell in love with the fabric there, and the fact that I mean the tailors that there are some places in the some markets you can buy the cloth and you can give it to a tailor to make it at the same time. Continue shopping, and by the time you finish shopping, your clothes ready.
Wow,
Yes.
that's amazing. In fact, when I went to Nigeria, I was measured, right, in a church. They measured me, and within 2 days, they had the outfit ready.
Yeah,
Um,
man. Some places you can get it same day, and I mean this is my way of trying to keep up with the Senegalese because I tell you probably will not find more elegant people in terms of dress than the Senegalese, and I always laugh at myself because us we are accustomed to dressing down on Fridays when we go to work. But in Senegal, it's quite the opposite. You dress turn up on Fridays, and so even after 3 years, I still never got accustomed to it. So I would still come to work on a Friday in jeans and a top and see everybody dressed to the nines. And I mean, that's how they just do it. Men and women, I must tell you, particularly the men who would be going to mosque, right? Because Senegalese is a majority Muslim country. So the men are in their fine bazaar and the women are in their fine rings. And I mean, you could just sit there watching people coming and going, coming and going. And I'm talking not just people come to work, or in the offices dressed up. Everybody dressed up on a Friday, from the persons selling out on the streets, selling in the shops. Everybody's just dressed to the nines on a Friday. So this is my little small effort of trying to keep up.
so the Sunday best is the Friday best, basically. Is what you're saying.
Quite so. Quite so.
You went into the people. Tell us about the people. Tell us a little bit about the people in Senegal.
Yes. So I mean, Senegalese are one of the. You will be hard pressed to find people who are more hospitable and warm and friendly and welcoming than Senegalese. And I could extend it to West Africa, but I can speak for Senegal because I was there for 3 years. I mean, they even developed a word for it, teranga, which is the wall of word meaning hospitable. And they not only talk about it, but they actually live it. So you just be walking somewhere and people are sitting there having their meal, or even if they're having their tea, and they just offer you. My husband always made fun of me because every time I went to the hair salon, I would come back and tell him that they were having their breakfast or their lunch or whatever, depending on the time of the day, and I would literally be forced to share it with them because that's how they are. And it doesn't matter. It could be just a sandwich, a baguette sandwich with some meat inside. They're going to split it and share it with you. They're just that warm, that friendly, that welcoming as a people. And they don't even have to know you. I mean, you just be walking on the street and people are just naturally warm to you. I mean, don't ask for directions though, because they will not tell you they don't know, but they will give you directions to somewhere.
Oh, so it's like it's just trying to be nice.
Just trying to be nice and trying to not be negative, just trying to be helpful. They will always give you the directions to wherever you're going, even if it is not the right directions. They will never tell you they don't know.
So the people say are warm and so on. How do the people feel about Jamaicans when they hear that I'm from Jamaica? What's typically the reaction when they hear that?
First thing is if you know Bob Marley, right? And because that's who they associate with Jamaica. But I must tell you that they really, really love Jamaica and Jamaicans and all things Jamaican. And I mean, when I came to Senegal in October 2017, it was the very first time I was coming. In fact, it was the first time I was setting foot on the African soil. And I was taken aback because Senegal is a francophone country, right? And I wasn't, although it's West African, I mean, the connections to us in the Caribbean, I really wasn't expecting such a close connection to them and to Jamaica. I know that they would more be in touch with the francophone West African, but I really was pleasantly surprised at how much they knew about Jamaica, especially Jamaican music, and of course our sports person. So when you say you're Jamaican, a big smile comes on people's face and like, wow, you're Jamaicans. And I met a lot of people who it was the first time they were meeting a Jamaican, and it was like such a joy for them, and they were genuinely happy to be associated with a Jamaican because of what they knew about Jamaica. And everybody that I met in Senegal, they're like, oh my God, it's a dream of mine to go to Jamaica. So, I mean, I need to go back home and talk to the Minister of Tourism.
So we got so caught up in our conversation in the beginning, right? I started and went off in another direction. I didn't even ask you, right? How did you get to Senegal? Was it, you met someone, I've in some of the previous interviews I've done, people meet people and they say, okay, we got married and we went there or whatever, or they went for work. How did you get to Senegal?
Very straightforward. I came here for work. I was working with the United Nations in Jamaica. I did 4.5 years in the office of the resident coordinator there. And after a time, I decided that, I think I can really spread my wings and do some more. And always do that. I wanted to work with the United Nations and at an international level. So, I started looking for jobs, and the job in Senegal just randomly throwing out applications that I thought that I was qualified for. And the job in Senegal was, I went through the interview process, and as they said, the rest is history. But I was able to qualify for that job because, as I said before, it's a francophone speaking country, so obviously you needed to be able to speak French to get that job, or to at least to be able to perform in the job. And I had my history. I when I looked back at it, I saw a lot of things in my life in the past 10 or so years that were preparing me for this. The fact that I didn't get the opportunity to study French in UWI as I wanted to, but post UWI, the opportunities came to study French, and then I spent some time in France, both studying and working, and then that helped me to improve my French. So I would say fluent. I'm very comfortable. So it helped me to get the job. So it was the job, I would say, the United Nations that brought me to Senegal.
Okay.
And Africa.
And then the other question I forgot to ask is, which part of Jamaica you come from?
I am so proud to tell you, Albertown, Trelawney. That's in South Trelawney, but in the mountainous part of Trelawney. It's not the capital, but it's a well-known little part of Jamaica, Albertown. Big up yourself, Albertown.
So I'm going to move on. Food. Tell us about the food in Senegal. What's the food like? And let's do it this way. If there's one thing you would suggest somebody try if they come to Senegal, what would that be?
Yeah, food-wise, coming to Senegal, there is a lot of things that you probably need to get accustomed to. But coming from the Caribbean and an island where we have a lot of seafood, then you find a lot of that there because Dakar is on the coast, so we have a lot of seafood. and they incorporate that into their food. So the main dish, and this is one that you have to must try if you come to Senegal. Well, there's no way around it because it will be everywhere, right? It's called chebujena, and it's a dish with rice and fish and some vegetables on the side. But they basically cook everything into one, and it is very, very nice. So they do it three different ways. So you can either do it with fish, which is the most popular one, or like when it's a fancy function, they exchange the fish for sheep meat and call it cheboyap, as well as some people who probably don't eat fish or sheep meat will put chicken, and then it's cheboginan. But by far the most popular is chebogen, which I tried to make one time, but let's just say I was not successful.
Well, try and try again. You never know. So
I decided to just go and buy it in the restaurants because it's everywhere, every day. Senegalese people eat chebogen every single day.
so it's
And
like right.
sometimes people eat it 2 times a day. Yes.
It's like we Jamaicans sometimes at every meal we have rice with every meal.
That's right. That's right.
So in staying on food, if there's one Jamaican food that you really, really miss, what would that be?
I miss so much Jamaican food, but I really would do anything for a patty. And I'm going to be specific. A juicy patty because it's country I come from, right? So juicy patty is the patty that I grow on. And it's quite coincidental because when I was a youngster, even in high school, I didn't eat patties, I didn't fancy patties. But growing up, when afterwards I came to like love patties, and I really, really, really miss a patty.
Well, people, you hear what Mikhail wants. She says she wants a patty. So if you're coming there, make sure you tell and be specific.
A juicy patty.
Juicy patty. So you freeze it.
That's right.
And you bring it in. So, in terms of music, do you hear reggae music there? Or is, what type of music you hear? And again, I know people not really listening to radio, but maybe you go out or you go to an occasion, whatever. Do you hear your reggae music? Do you hear a mixture of music? What you hear?
Yeah, man, you hear reggae music on the radio, you hear dancehall on the radio, and I'm always amazed if they really understand what is being said, because Xavier, a lot of times I hear the unedited version of the songs, to be honest with you. The versions that you only play at parties, you would never hear in on the radio, and with the curse words and so on, they actually play it like that. So it tells me that they probably don't understand what they're playing, but they do play it. You hear the reggae, the dancehall, like I said earlier. That is how Senegalese people connect with Jamaica a lot through music. But the Senegalese also have their own music, their own entertainers, which they're very, very proud of. They have these concerts all the time with their artists. I mean, it's one of the areas which are never really connected, because the music, it's been sung in one of Wolof, which is one of the native languages, but it's a national language, an official language. And I never really connected with it because I don't understand what they're saying. And also the beat is kind of off for me. I never understand never really got to rhythmize, if I could say a word, to it. So I never connected to Senegalese music. But you hear reggae, dancehall, and of course the other West African music quite a lot. Like the Niger beats, you hear that quite a lot too.
What did you call it? Nitro?
Niger, the music from Nigeria.
Oh, so they don't say Afro beats, they just say Niger beats?
Niger beats, yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's the music from Nigeria, which is really, really taking off now. And I understand it's very popular in Jamaica too.
Yes, it's popular. I love my Afro beats, I call it, but I'm now going to say the one from Nigeria is Niger beats.
Yes.
I learned something new today. So let me ask this a little bit. I'm going back to the people a little bit. is there something, a custom that you discovered or encountered when you were there that you said to yourself, this is really interesting? Maybe, something that they do. I know you talked about the custom of the Friday, where they dress up on Friday, but is there any other customs that you found very, very interesting and unique to them, that you're like, I like this, or this is interesting, or anything like that? And I know I see the thinking hat is going on, and it could be anything. It could be, the women do this, or the men do this, or
I was thinking, because I'm trying to figure out which one to share. But there is something very interesting about Senegalese society, and it's what I found rather interesting is how they seamlessly mix. The European, because the Francophone, and you see it very strongly. So a lot of Francophone influence. Then you also see the West African influences, and then you also see the Muslim influences, because it's predominantly Muslim. So it makes for a very eclectic mix. And one of the things that, and I mean, even I got into it, is this thing about having tea with the chebogen, which I mentioned, because it's very greasy, and they explained to me that they always have this tea after the chebogen, after having chebogen. It's called ataya, and it is made from about 3 different mint bush. But and you have it, like they're having it all throughout the day. And so not just after the chebogen, but throughout the day. So people would be just drinking attaya. You go to an office, and at 5 o'clock everybody stop to have their attaya. It's like a very small cup like this with some mint tea, and they put so much sugar in it. It's so sweet. And I tried to give it diabetes. But I found it interesting because I mean, traditionally, I love my tea. I have tea
Right,
all the time.
right.
But this the way that they do it, and the fact that they boil it, and they boil the bush over and over, so that you will know it as it goes throughout the day. It's the same pot, and you keep boiling it. It loses the potency. So they will you sometimes hear they ask you if this was the first boiling, or if this was the second boiling, because you get this in it. But it was something that I found very interesting. And I mean, you will see there at 5 o'clock, you will see the security guards out on the street. They all gather around, and they're having their attire with some bread, is the French baguette, and they will just invite you to come and share with them.
Nice, nice. What's the one place that you would say, or experience, that you say, listen, if you visit, and it could be a tourist spot, it could be something simple as, listen, the sunset over, I don't know if there's anything. What's the one experience or place that you'd say, if you come to Senegal, go visit this?
Yeah. I have a top one and a number two. So the very first one is this place called Ile de Gore, or Gore Island. It's an island off the coast of Dakar. You take a ferry. It takes you about 30 minutes or so to get there. What is interesting on that island is that this is where they have the Maison des Esclaves, which is the house of slaves. It's where they would have held the enslaved Africans before they were taken away into slavery into the Americas. So here they will recount the history, and you can see these tiny areas where they were held before they were taken away, and you can just relive that experience. But warning, it's a very, very emotive experience. But I mean, it's something that you would want to experience. I think there's something similar in Ghana, and that one is more popular. But
That's the one I went to.
Right, it's in Senegal as well. And then close second behind that, we have Lac Rose, which means the pink lake. It's a lake, And what is interesting about it is that it's heavy concentration of salt. So the main purpose of it is for economic reasons, because that's where most of the salt that is used in the country is extracted from. But it is it's almost like the Dead Sea in Jordan, where they say you can float on it. But it's very interesting because at certain times of the day, the entire lake has this very pink, beautiful pink hue because of the salt in there, and then the action of the wind and the placement of the sun gives it this beautiful pink look. And I don't think that there is one like that anywhere else in the world.
Oh man, I can't wait to see what that looks like if I come there.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate the time you spent telling us your story, Mikhail. Just amazing stuff here on the culture and so on. So here's how I typically end. And I think you mentioned the language. Is it Wala? You said the name.
Wolof.
Wolof. The language Wolof. I typically end with the guest teaching me how to say goodbye in the most customary and the most unofficial way from that language. So, can you tell me, how do we say goodbye in Wolof?
Well, fortunately, this is one of the probably 5 phrases I learned. So to say goodbye in Wolof, you say mangidem, and then you can add besebo, which is see you tomorrow or see you soon. So mangidem,
Mangidem,
besebo,
Besebo,
besebo.
Besebo. Okay,
Right.
I will stick with the Mandalem. I will stick with
Mangidem.
Mangidem.
Right.
Again, thank you, and Mangidem.
Mangidem, besebo.
Show some love now. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video.